Algebra 2, Chapter 7, Section 4, Rational Exponents. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to simplify expressions with rational exponents. Okay? So, another way to write a radical expression to use the rational exponent. So check out. The square root of 25 can be written as 25 to 1/2 power. The cube root of 27 can be written as 27 to the 1/3 power. The fourth root of 16 can be written as 16 to the 1/4 power. Okay, a little trivia. Exponent comes from the Latin word meaning place outside. So, let's just get busy. So, simplify each expression. 125 to the 1/3 power can be written, if we need to, the cube root of 125. We can factor down that. So we can get the cube root of 5 cubed, which is 5. 5 to the 1/2 power times 5 to the 1/2 power is going to be the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, which is the square root of 25, which would be 5. Okay, basically think of these as indexes again. Since they're the same, you can multiply. Okay, 10 to the third and 100 to the third could be written the cube root of 10 times the cube root of 100, which would be the cube root of 1,000, which we can break down to 10 times 100, which we just did, and 10 times 10. So we can write this as the cube root of 10 cubed, which would be 10. Easy enough? Okay, so let's just check it out. Simplify 16 to the 1/4 power. Okay, the way we've learned it thus far is it's the same thing as saying the fourth root of 16. Well, let's break down 16. 2 to 8, 2 to 4, and 2 to 2. So I can rewrite this as the fourth root of 2 to the 4th power, which is 2. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, another way to write this is once we broke it down to 2 to the 4th power, we could have wrote it down as 2 to the 4th power to the 1/4 power, which we could cancel out and make it 2. All right, square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is equals the square root of 4, which would be 2. Okay. Simplify, we could rewrite this as the square root of 2 times the square root of 8, which would be the square root of 16, which would be 4. All right, easy enough? Okay, that's converting it back to radical form. You're going to find out we don't have to necessarily do that. Okay, a rational exponent may have a numerator other than 1. All right, and the property a to the m power to the nth power is the same thing as a to the m times n power. Remember, an exponent to an exponent is just a product of those two. All right, so the property shows how we can rewrite this. So the example in the notes is 25 to the 3/2 power, which can be written as 25 to the 3 times 1/2 power, which can be written down to 25 cubed to the 1/2 power, which can be written to the square root of 25 cubed. Or conversely, it could be written as 25 to the 1/2 times 3 power, which could be 25 to the 1/2 cubed, which is the same thing as the square root of 25 cubed. So notice it doesn't matter the order. So the rational exponent definition is this. If the nth root of a is a real number and m is an integer, then 1 over n is the same thing as the nth root of a, and m over n, a to the m over n power, is the same thing as the nth root of a to the nth power, or the nth root of a to the nth power. Okay? So let's convert to and from radical. So let's convert x to the 3 over 5 power, which is the same thing as the fifth root of x cubed, or the fifth root of x cubed, y to the negative power. Remember, a negative exponent just takes everything over 1. Alright, it just takes everything over 1. So y to the negative 2.5 is the same thing as y to the negative 5 halves, okay, which is the same thing as 1 over y to the 5 halves, okay, which is the same thing as 1 over the square root of y to the 5th, which we'd have to rationalize and all that fun stuff, but that's not what we're working on right now. Find the radical expression of the square root of a cubed. So that's just a to the 3 halves. The fifth root of b squared, so that's just b 2 over 5. Okay? Pretty easy. Let's move on. Now write the expression. Okay? We got y to the negative 3 over 8th power, which is the same thing as 1 over y to the 3/8 power, which would be the same thing as y, or 1 over the cube root, I'm sorry, the 8th root of y cubed. Okay, and z to 0.4, I'm going to convert it to fraction, z to 4 over 10, which is z over 2 to 5, which that would be the fifth root of z squared. So I got 1 over 8 root of y cubed and the fifth root of z squared. So the answer would be A. 2b. Write the expression of the cube root of x squared. So that'd just be x2 over 3. And the square root of y cubed. So that'd be y 3 over 2. So it looks like our answer would be C. Remember, on square roots, the index is 2. Alright, we're going to skip the real world connection example. It's just plug and chug in your calculator and hit enter. Alright, let's go over all the properties of integer exponents and how they apply to rational exponents. Okay, so the first property, let's zoom in. A to the m times a to the nth is the same thing as a to the m plus n power. So 8 to the 1/3 times 8 to the 2/3 is the same thing as 8 to the sum of those two, so 8 to the first equals 8. A to the m power to the nth power is the same thing as amn. AB to the n power is the same thing as am, a to the nth power times b to the nth power. A to the negative m power is the same thing as 1 over a over m, or a to the nth power. And a to the nth over a to the nth is the same thing as a m minus n power. And a over b to the nth power is the same thing as a to the nth over b to the nth. Okay, and examples on the right show that. Okay, moving on. So simplify negative 32 to the 3/5 power. First thing, let's go ahead and see if we can do anything with negative 32. So let's make it negative 2 and 16. 16 becomes 2 and 8. 8 becomes 2 and 4. And 4 becomes 2 and 2. So we can make all those negative. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got negative 32 is really negative 2 to the 5th power. So I can say negative 2 to the 5th power to the 3/2 or 3/5 power. So I can rewrite this. The 5's are going to cancel. It's going to be negative 2 cubed, which negative 2 cubed is negative 8. And you can see methods in your notes there. Again, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that number and I'm going to get it simplified. So I've got 4 to the negative 3.5 power. So I'm going to write this as 4 to the negative 7 over 2 power, which is the same thing as saying 4 can be rewritten as 2 squared to the negative 7 over 2 power. So the 2's can cancel, so it's going to be 2 to the negative 7th power, which is the same thing as 1 over 2 to the 7th power. Now, just do your math. 2 to the 7th power is 128, so it's just going to be 1 over 128. Okay, again, the negative sign in the exponent, it's just putting it a fraction, 1 over that. Okay, next example. 4a, simplify 25 to the negative 3 halves. Well, 25 can break down to 5 and 5, so I can rewrite that as 5 squared to the negative 3 halves. So that's going to reduce to 5 to the negative 3. Well, that's 1 over 5 to the third. 5 to the third would be 5 times 25. So it would be 1 over 125. Answer is D. Simplify 32 to the 3/5. Well, 32 is 2 times 16, which is 2 times 8, which is 2 times 4, which is 2 times 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can rewrite this as 2 to the 5th power to the 3/5 power. So if you really want to see it, it'd be 2 to the 15th over 5 power, which would be simplified to 2 cubed, which is 2, 4, 8. Which is 8. Okay, see how I did that? Alright, so 4c is a follow-up. Negative 32 to the 4/5. Well, if it's negative 32, we know it's just negative 2 to the 5th power to the 4/5 power. So we can rewrite that as negative 2 to the 4th power. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Times negative 2 is negative 8. Times another negative 2 is positive 16. So the answer would be D. So again, all we did is first thing is we put our numbers in prime factors and then we just simplified and reduced. Okay, next example. To write an expression with rational exponents in simplest form, you must write every exponent as a positive number. Okay, so write 16y to the negative 8 to the negative 3/4 in simplest form. Okay, first thing we're going to do is simplify the 16. So we're going to rewrite it, and it's going to look like this. 2 to the 4th, y to the negative 8 to the negative 3/4 power. Then we're just going to distribute. So it's going to be 2 to the 4th to the negative 3/4 power times y to the negative 8 to the negative 3/4 power. Okay? So this is going to simplify 2 to the negative 3 y to the 6th. So 2 to the negative 3 would be y to the 6th over 2 cubed, which is the same thing as y to the 6th over 8. So you notice our negative signs still work. Okay, a couple of examples. Write 8x to the 15th, simplify to the negative 1/3 power. Well, 8 we know is 2 cubed, so it's 2 cubed x to the 15th to the negative 1/3 power. So that's going to be 2 cubed to the negative 1/3 power times x to the 15th to the negative 1/3 power. So that's going to be 2 to the negative 1 power times x to the negative 5 power. So that's just really 1 over 2 times 1 over x to the 5th. So that'd just be 1 over 2x to the 5th. So answer be B. Okay, make sure you understand your properties of exponents. That's going to be the biggest thing to help you get through this. Okay, just take your time, take your steps, and follow through. Good luck.